Oh, hi, this is Diane Dean, and I'm here today with Joel Honeycutt. Joel is another one of our ArtScape artists. Joel, will you tell me a little bit about the image that was chosen for the banner this year?
Sure. That piece was actually based off of a smaller piece that I've done for quite some time. That was just a series of kind of studies on concave and convex shapes and how they kind of interact. I had done the smaller piece, and a couple of years ago had a customer commission wanting a bigger piece, and I loved it. And so I kind of took her inspiration and changed the drawings a little bit and changed the color scheme a little bit and kind of came up with that design. I draw out a rough drawing of a shape that I have in mind. Typically, I can kind of see these pieces in my head, and so I try to get something down on paper. And from there, I use a pretty rudimentary CAD, computer-aided design program that helps me refine the drawing and get the curves where I like it. And at that point, I developed what's called a cut list. And if you're in woodworking, a cut list is sort of your recipe. It's a recipe of all the little pieces of wood that I need to cut and the exact dimension of those pieces. So at that point, I then go to the table saw, which is kind of behind me. So when you swing around, I'll show you the table saw with some in-process work. And I cut, typically, depending on the piece, between 150 and 300 separate little tiny pieces of wood, which my wife then takes and assembles all those into a very rough shape. You kind of get a sense of all these little pieces of wood that are all glued together in this really not very pretty shape. So this is the part that then I start carving on to develop the final form.
Wow, that sounds really complicated, and I would have never imagined that they started as little hunks of wood. I envisioned you turning it somehow and somehow carving the holes into it, so I'm quite surprised.
I turn with the holes already in there. So 90% of everything I do is maple for a lot of reasons. Maple is very accessible, renewable wood. It's a very neutral palette because I do so much color. The maple doesn't inject itself a lot into the color. So, but at the same time, it's a very stable wood and I think a beautiful sort of canvas to work off of. 90% of the time I color pieces. It's just a way that I can create the things that I'm doing. A lot of people do a lot of natural species, and that's great. But when I learned how to color, it just opened up this incredible box of crayons to work with. And so once I learned how to color, it sort of has been the path that I've run on.
Well, they certainly do turn out to be spectacular pieces. The sponsor for Joel's banner was Elizabeth McAfee, also a local artist.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. You know, the program I think is special for Hendersonville, and it just adds so much to the town. And you know, people like Elizabeth that are willing to step up and contribute and put time, money, and energy into a program, I think is something that our town should really be proud of.
Yeah, well,
I'm showing in Aerial Gallery, which is in downtown Asheville. It's a cooperative gallery on Biltmore Avenue downtown. I also show work online, both on my website, which is just joelhoneycutt.com, and through a company called The Artful Home, which produces a catalog and does some online sales.